guys, coming to you again with another murder mystery. This one is about a man named Robert Berdella. This guy's a piece of work, let me tell you. He's unreal what this guy is. Well, just giving an example, his nickname was the Kansas City Butcher or the Collector. So, I gives you a good example. In 1969, he moved into 4315 Charlotte Street over in Hyde Park District. He spent a lot of his time, with male prostitutes, drug addicts, petty criminals, and runaways. Well, in 82, Berdella rented his own booths in Westport Flea Market. The store was named Bob's Bizarre Bazaars. Right here with his first victim, Jerry Howe. Now, on July 5th, 1984, he got Jerry Howe drunk, got him on Valium. And this is just one example, and I'm not going to go through all what he done to every one of his victims. Not going to do it. It's just too much. He would torture them unconsciously. You guys are going to see these pictures. I mean, it is viewer discretion advised on the pictures. Some of these guys are still alive in them, and some of them are dead. So, he injected Hal with heavy tranquilizers and, strapped him to the bed, sexually assaulted him God knows how much. He restrained him for 28 hours. He repeatedly drugged him and raped him and violated him with foreign objects. I mean, it done this to all the victims. Well, finally, Hal, by asphyxiation, took him downstairs, chopped him up and stuff with a chainsaw. Okay, well, 415 Charlotte Street, this place here is a damn hell. It's the house of hell. I mean, it's where he done all his killing, raping, all his stuff. And it was unreal what this man done to these people. Then came Robert Sheldon, 23. They got him on April 12, 1985. See, Sheldon lived with Berdella, but on April 10th, he kept Sheldon against his will. Well, by April 12th, he wound up killing Sheldon Roberts. See, he buried his head in the garden, and then later Berdella dug it out and put it in his closet. Yeah. Then there was the third victim, Mark Wallace, 20. Now this was just pure happenstance he get this man. On June 22nd, 1985, Wallace was just trying to find a place to hide or to get from underneath the weather. It was a thunderstorm. And it happened to be Berdella's shed. And he died the very next day of lack of oxygen and the drugs he was getting injected with. The fourth victim was James Ferris. James was 25, and he was abducted the 26th of 1985 of September. He's actually the first victim. Berdella said that when he started, by the way, first logging the torture in, as you can see, he logged in the torture. And when Ferris died, this is what he put on it: stop the project. Then the fifth victim, Todd Stoops. Guys, you can see this. He electrocuted him and everything. He kidnapped him. Stoops was 23, kidnapped him June 17th, 1986. And he shocked him. And Stoops wound up finally dying on July 1st of combination of blood loss and infection, and he done a whole lot worse to him too. like I said. Then his last victim, his sixth one, was Larry Wayne Pearson. Sorry. Larry Wayne Pearson. 20, June, he was abducted June 23rd, 1987. You gotta think this a minute. The 23rd of June, he was held until August 5th. He was killed by suffocation after 6 weeks of torture. 6 weeks. Well, now, he kidnaps another man. And this man's name was Christopher Bryson. Now, he gets Bryson, as you see here in this picture here. And he ties him up and sexually assaults him. By the third day, Bryson started earning a little bit of Berdella's trust. And he was loosening up. You know, Berdella was about being real into, you know, making sure they ain't going to escape. Well, Bryson thought about escaping a bunch when he, you know, but finally one day he decided he'd getting out of there. He managed to burn through his restraints with a book of matches that Berdella left. Climbs out, second floor window, and jumps, breaking a bone in his foot in the process. All this man's got on is a dog collar around his neck. That's it. Finds a meter maid. They call the law. Law shows up. So he's telling the law all about what, you know, Berdella kidnapping him and injecting cleaner, like floor cleaner or whatever, into his throat, which he'd done other victims that way too, so they wouldn't be able to holler real loud. As you can see in one of them pictures, you see the syringe in the neck. Well, the law finally got a warrant and they went into Berdella's house, or when they did, they found tortured logs, how long he had tortured him, what he'd done, newspaper clippings. Then they also found a wallet, a young man missing, Jerry Howe, and the victim's driver's license of Jerry Ferris. Also the ID photos of Larry Wayne Pearson, sorry about that, I mispronounced his name, Todd Stoops, and Robert Shelton. He was plea bargaining so he could avoid a death penalty. By the way, you're going to hear an interview from Berdella.
Was that you kept detailed torture logs and diaries. Did you?
I kept sheets of paper that I had made some notations on. This is between the mattress and springs on my bed. This is one of those packages containing numerous photographs and what became to be known as meticulous, methodical diaries. Those pieces of paper in there are these meticulous diaries.
These are the pictures of the more than 200 photographs, some of them of young men, sexual partners, and these are in some ways, and these that we see here are the sheets of paper upon which you made notes.
Right.
See.
This is a copy of one of those pages.
It looks like a loose leaf paper. It does contain information about amounts of drugs and so on. So what is your complaint with the police calling these detailed diaries?
By your evaluation, does this look methodical?
Doesn't look methodical.
Meticulous?
It looks a little sloppy.
They are not bound in Corinthian leather, written on parchment diaries that the media apparently tries to describe them as. The sheets of paper.
Did you feel when you learned that not long after your arrest, the local radio stations, 2 of them at least, were running a Bob Berdella parody song and were asking people to come to parties wearing dog collars.
Well, I think the newspaper article reported that even the families of the victims were upset by the song. I have never had a chance to hear the song. I had also been told when I first came into jail that the Fox radio station had run a promo giving prizes to their listeners if they showed up at the station in a dog collar and with a leash on. The people here in the institution, the correctional officers, the caseworker, even the psychiatrist, were, I think, surprised to find out that that upset me.
And it did upset you?
Very much so.
We recall we mentioned before that there were reports in the Westport flea market where you had your shop that people would say, oh yes, I do remember he had these strange smelling dishes of food, that he had bead bones. And later on there was speculation, at least in the community and in some aspects of the media, that the remains of your victim were somehow being transported and prepared as meals and prepared as jewelry in your shop.
I was quickly able to identify to the police the other dealers in that section of the market where we rotated potluck rather than eat the flea market food again. And that you could question any of these people, and they'd be able to tell you that the food was good. There was nothing suspect about the turkey or ham or beef that was in these dishes.
I want the police to explain why they allow the loved ones of families to die in the convenient area of 10th and McGee.
I don't think any family of my victims or anybody else that has been killed down related to 10th and McGee are going to be happy to find out that their loved one is basically written off by the police as far as investigations go, etc., because they died in a convenient neighborhood. The police knew what was going on, so it's no big deal.
And that accounts for your remark to me, and I don't mean at all to make light of it, that I killed 6, but they, the police, by allowing this to stay open, they killed more.
Yes. This has been something that's been going on for over 20 years, to my knowledge.
It seems to me that you're suggesting that had the police done their job, had they followed the leads, had they really been on your case prior to April 2nd, 1988, they would have caught you, and some of this suffering could have been prevented.
Maybe not caught me. Scared me off, maybe. Prevented things from happening after how? Definitely.
In a way, do you wish they had? There was a report in the Sunday Kansas City Star in December about the dangers you might face after you leave the Jackson County Correction Facility and are moved to another larger prison. How do you feel about reports like that? Do they make you anxious?
They give me some reason for concern, but one of the reasons I'm concerned is that these were not just reports. These were digging out quotes from unnamed prosecutors implying that the inmates down there are waiting to get their hands on me. I am, at this point, am less concerned about the inmates acting on their own as opposed to the inmates or an inmate acting in response to maybe some directive or coercion from some police officers.
Do you think you're being set up, perhaps?
Well, I think the Star and Times have, since they haven't been able to get a court to put me to death, are now trying to get the inmates to do it for them.
Just a bunch of earth is all that's left of 4315 Charlotte. But some people will never forget the house nor the man who lived here. Berdella confessed to sexually and physically torturing 6 men here. But some believe there were more victims and hope digging up the house might unearth some secrets. That's why millionaire Dell Dunmeyer, who owns the property, had workers carefully tear it down. Private Detective Ashley Hearn was here in 1988 when the truth came out, and he's been here for the past 5 weeks, making sure no other bodies turned up. He says the stairs to the basement will be saved, as well as this drain, reportedly used to carry away the blood of Berdella's victims. Well, this appears to be the final chapter of the Berdella story, and no one could be happier than those who live on either side, who will split the...
88 or 89. He died on October 8, 1992, of a massive heart attack in Missouri State Penitentiary. He is 43 years old. Lesson learned. Guys, I love yous, God bless yous, and be careful out there.